Israel imposes sweeping censorship on foreign media. The Committee to Protect Journalists expressed alarm Monday over new directives issued by Israeli authorities ordering international media to obtain prior approval from the military censor before broadcasting news from combat zones or missile impact areas in Israel. The move represents a significant escalation in efforts to control wartime reporting. What I don't understand about this, okay, is like the Iranians are very well aware of where any missiles hit, any damage that is done, and the missile defense capabilities of Israel, right? It's not like they're actually hiding anything by not letting these videos go out, right? It's not like if the Israeli military prevented some of those missile strike videos from releasing that like anything would have changed whatsoever at all. It would not. This is purely a PR tactic. There are, Israel is a Western-style democracy. Everybody has smartphones with cameras, and everybody's very quick to record these sorts of things. And so the idea that you could ever implement this sort of rule and actually expect it to be effective in restricting the access of, restricting the ability of Iran to see what kind of damage has been done is hilarious. And so I feel like this to me screams like just a pure PR attempt. This is a rank attempt at authoritarian control of the PR narrative surrounding Israel right now. The move represents a significant escalation in efforts to control wartime reporting. CPJ Regional Director Sarah Kuda voiced deep concern over the escalating efforts to suppress press freedom through censorship and intimidation, emphasizing that silencing the press deprives the world of a clear, unfiltered view of the reality unfolding in the region. Now, something I'll make very, very clear is that Iran is heavily restrictive over the types of foreign, especially foreign media, that can come in and do reporting on anything. And obviously that's horrible and much worse than this sort of minor, soft-hearted restriction that Israel is trying to do. The Union of Journalists in Israel also denounced the move. Opposition leader Yair Lapid criticized the decision, arguing it damages Israeli diplomacy and is unenforceable considering smartphone ubiquity. That's what I'm saying. Everybody has a smartphone and is very, it's just like it is in a place in Europe or it is here, right? Everybody is affluent enough there to be very quick to record this sort of thing because they want to post it on their social media or whatever. These new directives present a significant challenge for international outlets. The International Federation of Journalists has condemned the disturbing wave of attacks targeting Palestinian and Israeli journalists and called on Israeli authorities to uphold press freedom. The Foreign Press Association also highlighted an unprecedented ban preventing foreign journalists from entering Gaza, which has severely hindered independent reporting. To me, that might make some sense. There might be some real legitimate argument for preventing or at least restricting to some degree the kind of reporting that goes on in Gaza. You don't want just anybody and their mom trying to get in there because it is a war zone, and it's also a war zone with a terrorist group like Hamas that is very much incentivized to try and kill or capture any white people they can get their hands on. On June 18th, Israeli Defense Forces censors issued an order requiring anyone broadcasting the aftermath of Iranian attacks on Israeli military sites to obtain prior army approval. The order extends to individuals posting on social media accounts. Communications Minister Shlomo Kari and National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir informed foreign journalists via email that all live and recorded coverage must be granted written approval from the military censor. Written approval? Yeah, okay. That means that to me, the fact that they must be granted written approval from the military censor means that this is very much a PR stunt, because that is extremely onerous and time-consuming and unnecessary, right? If they're actually interested in getting through as many good faith journalists, processing as many good faith journalists as they could through this system, they wouldn't have it be a handwritten approval from this one dude. Broadcasting location or descriptive information without military authorization will be considered a criminal offense. Police are authorized to confiscate equipment, revoke press credentials, and detain journalists or photographers who violate these rules. The ministers stated that these measures aim to prevent media chaos during wartime and ensure that freedom of the press does not override the security of our citizens and soldiers. They claimed the move follows successful coordinated enforcement against Al Jazeera and other outlets accused of violating censorship rules and endangering national security. The government press office clarified that approval covers both the location and how it is described. It would not blow my mind if this was specifically a targeted, they really were doing this to try and target places like Al Jazeera and AP. The Israeli government has long targeted Al Jazeera and AP and some other news outlets for being critical of how they've handled situations in Gaza and the West Bank and the region in general. So it's interesting that they mentioned Al Jazeera, the one that they're accused of violating censorship rules. Yeah, it is not shocking in one teeny tiny bit that they do this sort of mildly cynical PR authoritarian control scheme where they're going to censor what kind of media gets out regarding military strikes. And then the first one they go after is the one that they've always disliked them for a long time and have tried to go after numerous times in various different ways, Al Jazeera. I'm not saying Al Jazeera is good. I think they have serious problems, but they are an international news organization, and maybe they're biased. I don't know, but they still have some amount of legitimacy for sure. So yeah, this seems like a sort of pseudo-authoritarian PR stunt. This is to me, very clearly an attempt to try and control the PR narrative surrounding this war and the conflict in the Middle East right now. While theoretically you could come up with some steelman reasons why this sort of thing might make sense, and maybe you could come up with some steelman examples of where this might make sense, I think in the case of Israel, it doesn't. It seems kind of pointless because everybody has a smartphone, everybody is very quick to record, and so I feel like this sort of thing would be almost impossible to actually enforce, on top of the fact that I don't think it would actually do anything, right? I don't think you're actually going to, say you were able to perfectly enforce this, and none of the footage from strikes on Israeli military facilities videos of it never managed to reach social media. Iran would still very well know if they hit your military buildings or not, right? They have satellites. They have informants on the ground in Israel, I'm sure, right? I'm sure they would still know, oh yeah, we hit their military base we were aiming at. We can see on the satellite. They would know, okay? It's not like doing this. I don't think this has any practical impact, even if it were properly enforced, and there's no way they can enforce it. This is just weird. This is just weird.